Obsidian has over 800 community plugins, and I've looked through them all. In this video, we're going to look at my top 44 ranked plugins, not just community plugins, not just the core plugins, but even these shadowy special functions as well. Through the chaos, I have created my top 44. Let's go through them one at a time now. On my screen, you can see that I've opened up Obsidian Flight School. You can learn more about Flight School in the description below. It's a great way to learn Obsidian. It's an immersive educational experience where you get hands-on reps going through each exercise and each command. Enough of that. Once you're at Obsidian Flight School Arrival, we're going to click on the hangar, and this is the main place to go. Now, I'm going to go specifically to the Instruments wing and over to Plugins. You can just see how expansive Flight School is. For the purposes of this video, we're going to jump into my top 44 Obsidian plugins and functions ranked. Are you ready? I'm about to open it up right now. Here we go. Number 1. What did you think it was going to be? Probably not this, but here we are. So I'm going to first pin this note and then open it up in its command palette. Command palette, what is it? It's Command P. If I hit Command P, I can immediately get all the commands in Obsidian. As you download new plugins, that's even more important because each community plugin has its own set of commands. Sure, I've hotkeyed a lot of them, but every now and then I just want to hit Command P and think, what was that? Toggle, pin. Oh yeah, there it is. And then I can pin this note so it won't go away. But let me go ahead and unpin it. Command palette is a must. That is why it is 100 out of 100, the most important Obsidian plugin. And this is a core plugin, so you don't have to do anything. It's already there waiting for you. Tied with command palette is number 2, the quick switcher. The quick switcher, instead of hitting Command P on a Mac or Control P on Windows, you hit Command O or Control O on Windows. This will open up a window where you can either find or create any note as fast as you can type. This is phenomenal. Let's try that again. Command O, and let's say I forgot, and I'll hit 22 because that's all I can remember. Oh, wow, I have a top 22 community plugins ranked as well in Obsidian Flight School. And that's when I recognized, wait a second, I don't want to just look at community plugins, because the thing about Obsidian is there's a great balance between the community and the core developers. Think of it as an estuary where the Mississippi River meets the Gulf of Mexico. It's great for biodiversity, great for emergent life to form. What I'm trying to get at is when the community developers innovate and come up with something, there's a back and forth with the core developers. And if there's enough interest, the core team can Sherlock the community plugin and make it a part of core. Now, when I was making the community list, I recognized that one of my favorite plugins had been Sherlocked. And so therefore, when I was making a list only on community plugins, it felt like, whoa, I was no longer able to call attention to something I loved so much. And we'll get into that later on. But that's why I felt the need to have the top 44 all Obsidian plugins plus some special functions. Okay, enough of the backstory. Into number 3, we have backlinks. Let's open it up. Nothing is more fundamental to linked-based knowledge management than the backlink. So what does the backlink look like? How can you find it? We have a couple hotkeys programmed in Flight School. I can hit Command Option B, and that will open up all the backlinks right here. However, most of you are going to be more familiar with expanding the pane, and then you can probably find backlinks here. That's how we make connections between notes. This is how we think. This is how our brain works, by making connections between ideas. It's phenomenal that now we can do it externally and we can save our progress, grow these ideas over time. So as we look at our rankings, of course, backlinks gets a 99. Now, the new 99, this is new as of just a couple months ago, is Canvas, a core plugin by Obsidian. Canvas is allowing us to think visually in wonderful ways in this text-based program. Now we have the ability to have an infinite canvas to spatially think. Now, in this Obsidian Flight School, I just linked to the kind of flagship video on Obsidian Canvas on YouTube, but I also wanted to include something to get our hands dirty. So if you click on this one, you can immediately open up the Canvas note that I used in that YouTube video. It's here, it's embedded within this Obsidian Flight School, but regardless, you can really look around and see everything. Now you'll notice I'm using stacked tabs. And if you go over here, I can unstack tabs, or I could use a nice little hotkey. And it's really important when we're working on something where we want more screen real estate. So boom, I just toggled stacked tabs. Now look at this. Look how beautiful. I mean, you could just go around, you can dive into all sorts of things. This is amazing. Look how snappy this is. I can't get over how amazing Canvas is. I have already used it for multiple use cases. It's helped design the Linking Your Thinking workshop, the series of letters that I'm writing to everyone on the newsletter. It has been extremely impactful to think through complex use cases, to design it, to think it all out, and boom, it's right here visually that I can always return to. Obsidian Canvas for the win. It's also a 99. Okay, I'll try to go a little bit faster. Search. Search is a plugin, believe it or not. It's a core plugin. It's been here from the start. How could it not be a 99? But I do want to say it's a plugin. It's right here. So we take search for granted, but we shouldn't, because it isn't always there. Not every program is going to have it, or not every program is going to have it as powerfully. But we have search. Here it is. It's a 99. Now let's talk about daily notes. There are 4 ways that we use to organize everything. I won't go into details too much right now, but the first one is space. We organize things spatially. Number 2 is time. We organize anything by chronology of when we encountered it, or when it made an impact on us, or when it came out, if it was a movie or a song. Daily notes allows us to open up timestamped notes, and that we can really use that to our advantage for remembering things, or maybe it's just journaling, starting the day, prioritizing. Now, when you pair this with the next pair of plugins, that's when it gets really powerful. Now we can use the plugin, and this is the first, look at this. This is the first community plugin. The rest of these are core plugins. And this next one is calendar. So let's open up my note on calendar, and let's go back to toggle stack tabs. And I have a whole video here. I'm going to mute it just so it's not overlapping, but there are amazing things that you can do with navigating between notes. I'll explain it a little bit more just by saying that if we were to create some daily notes, check this out. When you combine calendar and its, I guess, sister or brother plugin, periodic notes, you can do some pretty amazing things. Let's see if I can just do this off the cuff. I don't know if this will be a success or not, but let me go ahead and create a daily note. This is today's date. This is the date that I'm recording this. Now, if I want to create another note over here, using the plugin calendar, I can just go ahead and click around to these different dates. I can click into the future and create a date. And you can notice that these new notes are populating here. So I'm just going to type in some gobbledygook. Then I'll go back to today's date and I'll do the same thing. Pretty cool, right? And then I can go over here and I can type the same stuff. So pretty cool, I think. Now, what's even better is when you pair that with periodic notes. So let's go ahead and open periodic notes. Now, we've already opened today's daily note with a hotkey. I didn't tell you what it was, but I have this hotkeyed to Command D on a Mac or Control D on Windows. What's so nice about that is no matter where I am, I get overwhelmed. All I need to know is I can hit Command D and immediately go back to my daily note. In this case, I might be keeping a daily log, or I might have the 3 big rocks that I want to accomplish, or I just want to journal something. Maybe I'm doing interstitial journaling, or it's the end of the day and I just kind of want to reflect on how everything went. There are plenty of reasons to open a daily note. Now, what I also find useful, and where periodic notes comes in so handy, is that you can actually jump between daily notes. Now, in the past, if you were to jump between, let's say, today's date and go to the 9th, it would create this note to the 10th first, which was kind of annoying. But in this case, let's just close everything really fast. Now, if I open today's daily note, I used a hotkey. If I jump, I can hit a different hotkey and immediately jump back to the 9th. Or I can jump forward to the 11th. Or I can jump forward to the 24th. So look at that. And I can jump all the way back to the 4th too. So being able to quickly, when you think to yourself, oh, what day was it? Well, I don't quite know, but it was around this area. Then you can just go ahead and click in that area using the plugin or the calendar plugin, and then using the periodic notes plugin, you can quickly jump through different notes. Now for that, I use the plugins, the commands that I've chosen are the semicolon and the apostrophe. They're next to each other on the keyboard, so it's very easy to just hit the left one or hit the right one to jump forward and back. So look at that, another 99. But that's the last of the 99s, my friends. Now we're going to go into the first 98. So let me just clean up the screen a little bit. We'll close that for now. And let's check out Tag Wrangler. So first of all, the death of tags are greatly exaggerated. They're greatly exaggerated. And why is that? Well, it's because they weren't being used properly, and the software we had didn't allow us to use that properly. Now with Tag Wrangler, and eventually I hope that Obsidian's core developers sure lock this capability. But what makes Tag Wrangler so good is, hey, let's try this one out together. This is another built-in exercise to Obsidian Flight School. But in this case, I'm going to right-click on this plugin over here, and I'm going to rename it. See what happens when I change it from plugin to plugins. See what happens. 122 files have been updated. That tells you how many plugins that we have in Flight School, by the way. Each plugin out of the 800, we've chosen 122, fantastic number, to have some sort of information on. We've risen it up and said this is important. If you're curious about plugins, you might want to check it out. Okay, so now with that in mind, we've just been able to rename immediately 122 notes. Using Tag Wrangler, it went into each of those notes and looked for the tag and modified it. So let's change it back. Look, keep your eyes right here, okay? This is going to happen simultaneously in 121 other notes. Boom. It's back. What gets even more powerful is when you do this with notes. The other part of, okay, let me explain this a little bit more. The other part that's so exciting about tags is that you can actually nest them. I can't believe software took so long to get to the point where we could have nested tags. What I'm trying to get at is, see this? Note/boat. Now, if I want to change the title of this, let's say I want to rename boat, I can rename it boats, and it's going to make that change. It'll percolate through all the notes, in this case, just one. And I can just as easily name that back. Or, let's delete that one. Maybe I want plugin to be, how about this one? This is risky, right? You have interface. Maybe you want interface to be underneath plugin. So let's go to rename, and then I'm just going to do that. So let's hit plugin/interface, and then you're about to see something wild. Look how quickly that changed. Now the plugin count is up, and now we have this interface count. Now I can click on this and immediately get the search for all of those over in the search core plugin. Now let's change that back, and all I have to do is get rid of the parent tag and then go ahead and hit enter. And now we're back. Anyways, you can tell how much that I think Tag Wrangler is phenomenal. It just might change your expectations of what tags can do for you. Okay, moving on. The best is yet to come. When I look at Note Refactor, I wonder, why didn't it get the 99? If you're looking at these three that are bolded, they are my top 3 plugins, community plugins of all of them. And my top 3.5 include periodic notes, but I do consider that a sibling of the calendar. It's actually by the same developer, as we'll get to later in this video. Now let's open up Note Refactor. So here we go. Note Refactor. This is one of my top 3.5 plugins because refactoring knowledge is the way. What's so cool about this? When you're making any sort of note, and half the time we don't know what we're going to say or what idea becomes too long and needs to be split off. So how do you do that? Well, how about you just highlight everything and then split it off? I just gave myself a link to this new note. See how fast that was? When you incorporate this workflow, you start truly getting closer to the speed of thought, and it's just phenomenal. Now, if I don't want to do this, that's okay. I'll delete this note. And then over here, Obsidian maintains the history per tab. That means in this tab, it remembers where it was. So I'll just hit undo and it's back. So we cover extensively how to refactor notes, the fastest way, the best ways, the variety of ways, because there are so many. So I just want to really point your attention to how powerful note refactoring is. Now you might be asking, what does refactor even mean? Think of refactoring as restructuring. So if you format a note, like if I made this bold, that's formatting. But when you are, and I could reformat this note and I can get rid of this, I could hit undo. But when you are refactoring, you are not formatting text on the screen, you're structuring ideas. You're sense making through the process of moving text around. I think this is a really profound point, and that's why I want to bring it up. Okay, next one, data view. Eventually this might be replaced sooner than later by a different plugin by this brilliant person called Data Core. Stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, data view is what allows us to do phenomenal things. Now, see all these 44 plugins? How about we take the other, 88? I might be doing my math wrong, probably am. And let's check them all out in Obsidian plugins data views. So this is a collection of data views where you can look at all of the plugins by different criteria within this Obsidian Flight School product. Let's check it out by developer. So let's find Michael. It's alphabetical. So if we go to the M's, there's Michael, plugin data view. So what's cool about this is you can actually see maybe your favorite plugin and you can see who it's by. And here, let's kind of go a little meta. Look at Nothing is Lost. They've created two that I really enjoy. I'm going to hover over Hover Editor, and we'll get to Hover Editor, but look at this. I didn't even have to click anything. It popped up this note, and I can immediately start typing in it. This is insane. This truly is insane. But let's take it even further. So let's jump into Hover Editor, because if you have Obsidian Flight School, you might notice that in each plugin, there is a go-to button. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, that's going to take me to the internet. It's going to take me onto GitHub, and then I'll get lost in technical stuff. No, you won't. This is going to take you immediately to the community plugins settings screen. Do you see how powerful this is? I have to show it to you again, because I hope your jaw just dropped. We did a live session recently where I showed this, and I saw the jaws dropping on screen, literally. Let's look at one that I don't have installed. How about metadata menu? So we have a note by my co-pilot for Obsidian Flight School 2.0, Keaton. But if I click Go To here, I can immediately install it. That easy. And then you can test it out. The alternative version is, you find a plugin, someone mentions it, you have to make sure that you go over to settings, and then you have to find community plugins, you have to hit browse, you have to start looking. That works. I mean, that works quite well, but this is another way of discovery. And I find it to be extremely powerful. So you can actually go from the data views anywhere. You can find a plugin, and then you can say, this was amazing by Argentina, also known as Argentum, depending on where you are. And you can click open, and then you can see exactly the details around this plugin. Let's take it even further. If you did click on the repository, it will take you to a GitHub page. Now, early in this video, I was talking about the beautiful balance between the community developers and plugins and the core developers and the core plugins. We need to have a thriving ecosystem between the two. And the best way that you can help this thrive is by going. So check this out. By going to each person's GitHub that you really like. When you like that plugin, see if they have a way that they can be sponsored. Send them anything. If you have any spare money, send them the $5. Buy them the digital coffee. All this helps encourage them to do this work that comes from within. They're not doing it to make money. They're doing it because they are inspired. They're just naturally driven to do something, to scratch their own itch. But to maintain a plugin is another matter. So that's why, if you can, wherever you have lists of plugins, wherever you might have to go. Maybe you go to settings, you go to community plugins, and you just say, I really, really like the work that Jolt is doing. Well, go to Excalidraw. And in my case, I'm going to use Obsidian plugins, Dataview, and it was Jolt, so he should be at the bottom. There he is. Excalidraw, and then I can hit go to. That takes me immediately to where it lives within the community plugins within your Obsidian application. And then go ahead and click on the GitHub. I'm not going to do that now, but there will be a way that you could probably go ahead and sponsor Jolt for his amazing work, taking Excalidraw and importing it into Obsidian. Are you curious what Excalidraw can do? Well, how about I show you? Here's an example right here. So let's open up this because I want you to know how amazing this is. Now I'm in stack tabs. So what should I do right now? I want to see this. I want it to be bigger. I should toggle stacked tabs. In Flight School, that command is Command S. But if you can't remember, go up here and you can unstack the tabs. So let me hit that now. Wow. Now I can look at this. I can see exactly what is what, and it gets even better. It's fully ready for you to edit. Tab groups move. Tab groups, look at that. They're moving. We can edit this stuff right now. It's live. It's ready to go. So shout out to Jolt. Thank you for an amazing plugin. You might be wondering, did this make the top 44? Stay tuned. In the meantime, let me toggle back to stack tabs and let's go on to the next one. Sync. This is a core feature and it's sync. So this is a paid service, but it's extremely valuable. And I want you to know that you don't have to use any add-on service. This is an Obsidian add-on, but I highly, highly recommend it. You could use Dropbox. That's another paid service. You could use iCloud, but nothing works as brilliantly as Sync. And we'll get into that more in Flight School itself. There's a nice video that we're about to embed, and that takes you through how that actually works to keep your data and information safe and really up to date, really synced fantastically. There are some issues with Dropbox. iCloud's better than Dropbox, but still nothing is as smooth as Sync. And if you're curious where to find that in the core plugins, it's going to be down here. Make sure Sync is turned on, and then you can go and dive deeper into it, which we won't do now. But being able to sync your notes across multiple devices, whether it's a main desktop, whether it's a laptop, whether it's your mobile device, it is priceless. Now, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but every now and then I'll be lying in bed and I'll have my phone in my hand. I don't recommend this, but it's nice to know that I can add notes while they're still in my mind, get them down without having to go to the desktop or boot everything up. It's a nice, easy way to record something and then put the phone away, go back to the bed, and then know that it's there waiting for me when I open up my desktop the next day. All right, we are flying along. Now you might be wondering, is Nick really going to cover all 44 plugins and functions? I don't know. I really don't. I'm doing this in one full long take, so stay tuned and we'll see how my energy levels end up doing. Now, I've already talked about this one once. It's not a plugin. It's not really, it's a hotkey, but it's not a hotkey. What is it? Well, let's call it, for lack of a better term, a function, and that is stacked tabs. Just so you know, there was something that was like stack tabs, and that was my fourth. I had my top 4 plugins. Since Obsidian came out for basically 2 full years, I had my same top 4 plugins. But then stack tabs essentially was Sherlocking the old thing called sliding panes. So I love stack tabs. I use it all the time. And we have you can check out the command. So there's a function here. You can check out the command. You can watch the video, but this is how I quickly change navigation. So this would be stacked and this would be traditional. Pretty cool, right? So now I'm going to hit my special hotkey to close that tab, close the next tab, and now we're back. That was like look, Mom, no hands, but there's one hand on the other keyboard. Now let's get into live preview. Live preview. It's a 96. This is one of those things that Obsidian, the developers, have done to me and many of us multiple times. They've given us something we didn't know how badly we needed it. That's certainly the case with Canvas, and it's so true with live preview. Now, before live preview, by the way, This is live preview. Now, if you want me to go into source mode, edit mode, like the source part of edit mode, then let me do that right now. So you can see this is what the back end looks like. Now it's still human readable. You and I, we can read this, but yes, there is visual clutter. And so it is beautiful. It's so nice to remove that. Now, if you want to know what it's really going to look like, if you had to export this markdown note into a PDF, then you could go into reading view. So let me do that now. This is reading view, and this is live preview. Reading view, live preview. Can you, that's so similar. It's phenomenal. Now that might seem like, well, duh. And if you're coming late to the party, that's not going to be a big deal to you. But if you had to experience what it was like before this, when you had to always edit with all the markdown syntax in your face, wow, this is so nice. I remember trying to convince myself. I remember this vividly. Oh, I don't need live preview. I like toggling back and forth. It's a nice context switch. It allows me to see things in a different light. Well, there's some truth to that, but I'm in live preview 90% of the time. Moving on. The next top plugin at 95 is templates. So this is a core template. We have a video on it in Flight School. You want to have a few trusty templates handy. So in Flight School, there are only a few that we have. Like you can tell that this is probably a template. So if I were to create a new note in a new tab group, let's just give it a random title. I could go ahead and pull up templates, and you can see there are specific templates in here. So at the click of a button, I can pull them up and then I can quickly choose plugin. And now this is what we get. Pretty cool, right? I'll delete that, close that tab. Templates are fantastic for speeding up your workflow once you know what your workflow is. So it takes a while to get templates. The big common mistake with this is trying to use someone else's templates. Looking at them is okay. Playing with them so you can modify them, that's okay. But what's not okay, and what's the biggest trap in knowledge management in general, is trying to adopt somebody else's structure. Structure must be earned. You can't create something that's super complex without it starting super simple. Structure must be earned. And that's very true with templates. So just know, like, if you receive a templates pack, this goes for other programs too. You know, Notion is really famous for their templates. That's great, but you have to make it your own, and it's not going to work out of the box. It must be earned for you. If you're familiar with what we're doing here, it's often called PKM, personal knowledge management. Don't forget that P. It's personal. It has to be tailored to you, or else it's going to fall like a house of cards. All right, let's move on. Let's go into files. So this is a 94. This is like search. See this tab right here called files? This is a plugin. I've talked about this before in my love letter to Obsidian, but the way that the developers went about designing this application was to consider each functionality its own plugin. Search is a plugin. Starred Notes is a plugin. Definitely not in my top 44. This is in the bottom 44, to be honest. It is just essentially a weak tag. That's all Starred is. The only reason I have it here is just to help out people beginning their Obsidian journey. I never go to the stars tab personally. Now, Files is another plugin, and it's a tab right here. Okay, moving on. I've already spoiled this one for you, but this plugin, Hover Editor. So I can be in this note, and without touching anything, if I'm in live preview, I have to hold down Command or Control on Windows, and then it opens up this note, and I can immediately start editing. This is quick. I could maybe just make a quick change, change that, whatever it is, and then I can go ahead, hover away, and it closes. Extremely powerful. I would not be surprised if Obsidian ends up adopting this feature as well to their page preview. 93, the core plugin tags. So just like files over here, just so you're aware, this tab is considered a plugin. And it's really nice to just know, like, these things, they aren't always there. somebody, a developer has to say, well, what do we need? What do we need? Well, we need a search, don't we? We need a way to look at files or notes, right? Do we need tags? So those are all questions that come up, and it might seem simple, but it's nice to look at it through a new lens and say, whoa, okay, I get it now. That I get why it's its own thing. Okay, next one. At 92, we have callouts. I was a late adopter for callouts. I was skeptical of callouts mainly because they add a little bit of visual clutter when you are working in that source mode. However, when you're in live preview, they're just beautiful. So let's open up callouts. Let's close this side tab. And something for people who have Obsidian Flight School 2.0 and beyond, we have custom callouts. So all these cool looking things, these are custom callouts. I'll show you a few more uses of them. And if I go to settings and I go to appearances and I scroll down a bit, these are CSS snippets. This is a little bit more advanced, but these are all included in Flight School, and they're just really nice to use. So let me just jump around a little bit so you can see how they are being used. So Obsidian functions, you can see immediately is part of the instruments wing. Now, if I were to go to plugins, this stays. So I'm using a callout to be what? To be my visual, consistent wayfinding apparatus, my wayfinding sign, right? So display, functions, graph, it's all here, instruments wing. I just think that's phenomenal. Now I can go to the top link. That's going to take me back to the hangar eventually. And where was that? It was in the instruments wing. So that makes sense, right? Well, let's check out this blue one, the piloting wing. So now if I go into the Obsidian interface, you can see that we have another consistent, reliable, visual breadcrumb here. I'm currently in Obsidian interface, but I could just as easily go into text work and notice that this stays exactly the same. We don't recognize how important wayfinding like this is until it's not around. And to solve this problem, it was really nice, really effective to be able to use callouts. So you can see navigation, keyboard combos, slightly different in this one, really effective. And then you can look in basic training. We have our formatting section, basic training. So no rocket, a bicycle this time. Settings, themes, and my favorite note of them all, core maneuvers. Core maneuvers. Oh my goodness. This is my favorite. It's the basics, but what if you could be this much better at how you create, open, and link notes? You do that move how many times if you're working with linked-based knowledge? You do it all the time. What if you could do it better? You get closer to thinking at the speed of thought. So that's why this is so important, but let's take it back to callouts. So one thing I want to point your attention to is, how does this look? Let's even go into the edit mode here. And what I want to do is point your attention to bike. So this is a custom callout. And what you'll notice here is that you'll see bike. Now, when you're using callouts in general, you can just go to bike and let's change it to map, which is another custom callout of mine. And you can see it's changed to map over here. So it doesn't hurt to get the reps. Once you've done it a few times, it comes very natural. And what's really important about callouts is that you have it hotkeyed to something. So let's look at a great place where we could do a callout. How about, okay, check this out. See this paragraph here? I'm going to select it and then I'm going to hit my insert callout hotkey. So boom, now it's a callout and there it is. It's that simple. Now callouts are not that simple if you don't have it hotkeyed or if you don't use the command palette. You could also hit Command P. Remember the command palette? It's a 100 for a reason. I hit Command P. I think to myself, what am I trying to, oh yeah, call out. There it is. I go ahead and hit enter. And now we have it. Pretty cool. Very cool. So callouts are amazing. I must say, I am pleasantly surprised by callouts. This is another function. It's not a plugin. It's a function. Moving on. I'll just cover this one fast. I might speed up even more. I said I was going to speed up. I don't think I did. File recovery. It's very important. It's extremely important that you can recover your files. So we can go to file recovery. We can start to jump into this stuff if we've lost a file. Very important. Next one, Hotkeys plus. This is one of those small quality of life improvements that I think came in 2020. And when it did, I've loved it ever since. So thank you. And I believe Argentina, thank you. Because what's so nice about this is if I'm on this line, I'm just going to hit the hotkey and see what happens over here on the left. It goes from a dash to a number to nothing back to a dash, which is a bullet. So this is really effective for changing notes quickly. I mean, I could do it to multiple notes. Now we have that and it's nothing. And if you think, oh, wait, that's weird. Why are there two ones? There are a couple ways to fix that. One, but if you look into the reading view, you can see that it's perfectly fine. Okay, extra credit. If you really want to know, you just backspace the first one and then it would change all the way. Actually, I can't help myself. So I'm going to show you a little bit more. And let's imagine I'm going to hit Hotkeys plus command. Oops, excuse me, wrong one. And then we're going to switch. You can see they're all ones. So here's what I mean. All you have to do is take this one. Now I'm going to hit enter. There you go. So that's how you might do that change. Let me just undo a few until we're back to where we want to be. And that's quality of life improvement. Text format, I'm not going to go into too much other than to say it can do some things really fantastically, really fast. So if there are blank lines, you can quickly remove them. If I want to make this all uppercase, I can select this. Then I won't remember the hotkey, but I'll remember uppercase. So I hit Command Palette and then boom, it's all uppercase. Pretty amazing. Moving on. Workspaces Plus. So a core feature of Obsidian is Workspaces. You can see I've given it a 90, but I've given the community plugin Workspaces Plus a 92 because it allows me to easily tweak and update workspaces. In this case, you can find workspaces down here. I have a hotkey. Let me hit that hotkey. Now I'm going to open up the map view. So see these four main maps? We now have these four main maps. How cool is that? Now, if we go to open basic training, we have the basic training notes open right away. How cool is that? What about the piloting wing? And it goes on. I'm blown away, and it's beautiful with these callouts. Can you see how everything's working together to give such a fantastic experience? So let's close all the other tabs, and then let's open up the top 44, hit enter, and we're back. Next up, we have paste URL into selection. I will skip this one, but it allows you, it's a quality of life improvement where you can copy a URL and then just select some text and then hit paste in a special way. And this word will become a linked word to the URL. Okay. And then workspace is at 90. And how can we not cover the graph views? So let's check out the graph view. How does it look in flight school? I'm curious. It's been a while. All right. So what you'll notice here is this is plugins. The plugins are pink. We have my main three notes, the hanger, the checklist, and the map in yellow. What are these green ones? Oh, the commands or the hotkeys, if you will. What about these orange ones? Oh, these are the commands. Excellent. I see what's happening here. Oh, the main wing. The notes that have, for each wing, there are some main notes. And so that's where I gave some of these ones. Okay, gotcha. So you can start to see how everything's pieced together. And this is flight school. Whenever I look at this, I think of trying to count those M&Ms in the jar, the glass jar, and everyone doesn't recognize how many M&Ms are actually in the jar. In case you are wondering, there are 307 notes in Obsidian Flight School and 365 files as of this recording. It definitely goes up. We were at 53,000 words. I did some cuts to get down to 48,000. However, that is still more than The Great Gatsby. So that's interesting. Let's go back to the top 44 and let's look into the local graph. In fact, now there's a hotkey for me to pull up the local graph, which I just hit. And it's important to know when you initially pull up the local graph, it will open up in a different tab group over here. Now, just remember, you can move around tabs wherever you want to. So what I did long ago is I took this local graph and I threw it over here. So now we have the same local graph twice. One's zoomed in, the other's not. Let me just get rid of one. And now we're back to the way we were. Ooh, that takes us through. Let me zoom out. That takes us through the first, I believe, around 27 of my top 44 Obsidian plugins and functions, all ranked. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that I'm still going? I can't. I have not taken one sip of water because I've wanted to keep up a fast pace to get you the most meat per minute. And if we were to continue, this is the final part of the list. I'm not going to go through each one. I'm just going to talk about the one-liners. Wikipedia, a simple plugin. This person also took the Linking Your Thinking workshop. Thank you, Jonathan. What's so amazing about this is that it allows you to quickly put in little bits of Wikipedia into a note. I won't get into the details. Sortable. This will probably go away once Michael Brennan comes out with Data Core, but it allows you to quickly sort data view tables. Word count. This is a core plugin, and as you can see over here, it allows you to have word counts. Pretty awesome. Better word count at 85 gives you a little bit more and allows you to, oh, I got them backwards. This is the core word count, and this is better word count. How do I know? The reason I have better word count is so when I highlight things, notice what's happening down here. It's updating. I use this a lot. I think anyone who's writing, or even if you don't consider yourself a writer, when you are writing and you want to stay within certain lengths, it's very important to know how long you go. Random note. See this dice over here? We can start opening random notes. Dare me to do it now? I will. I'll do it. All right. Workspaces, projects, my top 3 plugins, each going to something else. Let's see what else. Recent files, delete current file, plugin file recovery. Oh, remember this daily note that we made? Let me go ahead and delete that because we don't need that anymore. My snippets. This is another one. Let's get something more exciting. All right. We got some queries. That's at least a little bit more exciting. File recovery. Here we go. Opening a note. So now you can see a little bit more of the action in some of these notes. Should I roll the dice? I did. This is one of my more favorite ones recently, is how you can quickly manipulate tabs within Obsidian. And then we talk about each of these as a command. Each command oftentimes has a video. We talk about if it's a universal hotkey or if it's not, how you can use these all in sequence. And it's very important that you can manipulate, and I mean that in a non-person-to-person sense, but as in using your digits, your hands to manipulate things, like someone would manipulate clay, right? So that's what we mean here. And the better you can do that, like an Ace Pilot, the faster that you can think, the closer you can get to the speed of thought. Okay, cool. So with that in mind, let's go back to top 44, and let's finish this out. Publish allows you to, it's a core feature allowing you to publish your notes online. And you might be thinking, if you are paying close attention, whoa, you skipped outline, Nick. Let's cover outline. So what's really cool about outline is it is another plugin that you can throw in the side tab. And let's go to a note that actually takes advantage of this. Let's go back to the hanger. Okay. Oh, actually the hanger. Let's go back to Flight School Arrival. So this is a header 2 and this is a header 2. Now, I don't do this a lot, but I'm pretty sure we can swap these two around. This was a feature that CGP Grey, the prominent YouTuber, was really pining for, and it finally was delivered to Obsidian's core user feature set about 1 year ago. This is the beginning of 2022. And so now I can take this and just shift it above. Did you see that? Did you just see what I did? That is insane. You can just flop those things around so fast. So I don't use that nearly enough for how cool it is. So now let's take it back. That was outline, random note. We can publish our notes online. You may have stumbled across my light kit. The Linking Your Thinking kit has now been downloaded 72,000 times. Okay. It's pretty amazing. So there's an online version where you can see what it looks like to publish your notes. Pane Relief. Parts of it are deprecated, but I still use swap tab left and swap tab right quite a bit. And what this allows me to do is, see this tab here? I'm going to, just with the keyboard, put it over here. So here we go. Well, and there it goes. Pretty nice. When you combine that with switching tabs, well, you can switch tabs and then you can quickly move tabs. Now, if you toggle stack tabs, you can also click and drag. So you don't have to necessarily be an expert keyboard ninja for tab management. It just makes you even faster. So you can always just use the mouse. Okay, so let's go over here, close everything else, and we can have some quality of life improvements. I'll skip through these. They're in Obsidian Flight School. Recent files. I did end up showing, no, I don't currently have recent files turned on. NoteTweet. Sometimes I don't want to go on Twitter, but I just have a cool idea and I think I'll just share it and I can use NoteTweet to make sure it goes there. I don't even have to look to see who responds or anything. It's there. No distractions. Great. Prompt is from Hung Su. Hung Su also took the Linking Your Thinking workshop and created a simple but really powerful thought prompting mechanism. And this would not be complete without covering iframes. Now, when you look at any of the videos in Obsidian Flight School, for example, this arrival video right here, what is this? So let's jump into it, and there's a wild looking iframe. This is embedded from some URL out there, and that's what we're looking at right here. So that's how iframes work. You can embed websites. Very powerful. Readwise official. This is a great way to manage your highlights. Many people out here are Readwise or Reader users. Readwise, that company, they're fantastic. They're phenomenal. They make great products and they really, really care. So for those who have a heavy highlighting, collecting workflow, and they want to get all those highlights into their system, you kind of have to mention Readwise because they're at the top of the class for that. And then I'll finish with one that I already talked about, which was Excalidraw, allowing you another way to do visual sketching. I must admit, I'll normally go into Canvas these days, but you could tell, Canvas can't do sketches, like mock-ups like this. That's not what its intent is. So Excalidraw and Canvas can work in harmony quite well to fulfill your visual spatial thinking needs. Folks, we did it. I don't know how long this went. I truly hope that I hit the record button, that my audio is successfully recorded, because I am not doing this one again. If you enjoyed this, give this video a like. A couple extra things before you go, by the way. But if you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a comment, and in the comments below, tell me, which plugin are you most excited about looking at more deeply? Are some of these core plugins things that have been right under your nose and you never even recognized how powerful they are? How would you rank some of these? Are there places where you think I'm way off? Now, before you go, there are a couple other things I want to draw to your attention, and I've kind of mentioned it a million times already, but I'm just too proud not to mention it again. I'm too proud of what has been pulled off here. So this whole thing that we're looking at, it's 365 notes, all linked together, and it is intended to do one thing: help you become faster in Obsidian. If you're looking to get faster in Obsidian, check out Obsidian Flight School in the description below. This is version 2.0. I can't tell you how many countless hours go into making sure each note is updated. The Obsidian developers, they work too fast. And things get out of, things are improved. We have tabs, all these things that make us so excited. But when it comes to keeping Obsidian Flight School up to date, well, that was difficult this past year. We had our little patches, but this is a big time release. Now, I'll tell you this too. You don't have to worry about having to repurchase Flight School. People are blown away. All 1,000 plus, I won't get to the exact number, that purchased 1.0. They received this update 2.0 for free. And anyone who purchases any version of Flight School, they get the updates for free. That's the importance of just getting you into Flight School now. Get better at Obsidian. Can you imagine where you would be if you could think closer to the speed of thoughts, but do that externally in a way that you can say that is saved for you, that you can then connect and grow thoughts over time? That is the hope with Obsidian Flight School, that you can effectively pilot and fly around your thoughts faster than ever before. I really hope you enjoyed the top 44. I'm really curious. You better comment below. Let me know. I want to engage with you in the comments. really finding out, what did I miss? What do you think should have been on this list? Now, I could only choose 44. I had over 800, probably 850 options to choose from. These are my top 44. I'm curious what some of your top ones are. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, stay connected.